All right, folks, we're here with Rob from Everything NYG, and this is our post-draft follow-up with Rob. We know he's very active on Twitter, at Everything NYG. And Rob, how are you today?
I'm good, John. Thanks for having me again, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. And I've been following you, and things have been kind of contentious the last couple of days with this Giants draft.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit up and down, man. It's either you like it or you hate it.
Well, a lot of people like the draft overall, but I don't think they like the first pick or first two picks
Yeah, yeah,
because one is contingent on the other.
pretty much.
And, of course, I did not like the first pick. I like the player, but I
Right.
don't like the fact that it's a player that's not going to play. That's the one
Yeah,
problem I have with this. When you take a
yeah,
player at 6, they've got to come right in and play. And I'm afraid that that's not going to happen here. I don't think he'll play at all this year, and that's going to be a big mistake, I think.
yeah. I mean, I think he'll play this year. I don't know when, and I don't know if it'll be because, unfortunately, if we're just really bad, and he'll come in. I don't know if it'll be just, if we're winning a game by a lot and he comes in. But I think we'll definitely see a little bit of Daniel Jones this year outside of the preseason. And I think that there's no doubt in my mind if they did an actual QB competition, he'd beat out Eli Manning. I don't have any doubts just from the athleticism, the young arm, just in general. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to not at this point. But if they actually did a real QB battle and they really were serious about it, I think Daniel Jones would win the job from training camp. But I don't think they'd actually pursue that. So
Yeah, I don't think they have any interest in him playing anytime soon. And that's what puzzles me the most about this pick, because if you're going to sit a quarterback for a year and you take him at number 6, I see that as a waste. And especially when you have 6 or 7 possible first-round quarterbacks coming out next year, that some of them may even be better. I mean, some of them got to be better than Daniel Jones. We already know that for
right,
a fact.
right. It's just they felt that was their guy, and it took a lot for them to obviously take a leap and actually draft one. So that tells me, obviously it was a different GM. But if the Giants actually went ahead and selected a quarterback 6 overall, this is really a guy they wanted big time. So,
No, I'm
see.
not disagreeing with that at all. I like the kid. I think that Daniel Jeremiah from NFL Network kind of hit it on the head when he said he has the highest floor of any quarterback in this draft, but he also has the lowest ceiling because he's
Yeah,
already reaching what he's probably going to be. But I think you might agree with me that he was on a very bad football team with no kind of NFL level players around it.
well, that's kind of I was just before we started recording this, I was just going back and forth actually about the same two topics you just brought up with two other people on Twitter that are asking me questions. With me, with the whole ceiling and floor takes, I'm not one to ever really listen to that or go by it. I just think the comparisons, and then they're saying, oh, he has a ceiling of Alex Smith and a floor of Ryan Tannehill. Look, I don't think that's a valid in any way, shape, or form comparison to me, or viable thing to use for making a take on a player. I think at the end of the day, he came from a system where, I've said it over and over, he legitimately had walk-on wide receivers. Legitimately, that's not a joke. And his O-line was legitimately probably one-star to walk-on players as well. I mean, Duke is a good school, good football school, but they're not. He was a zero-star recruit coming out of high school. He was going to Princeton for college,
Right.
and Duke offered him a scholership. So
Well, we
that's
know where
kind of
the
what they
Duke
do.
athletic program allocates their resources.
Right, right. And that's kind of what they do, man. So they're not a powerhouse. And, that's why when people keep comparing, Dwayne Haskins and saying we should have taken him because of production. Look, man, you can't compare Ohio State University and Duke University at all. Not even just because, imagine if you throw Daniel Jones in Ohio State, would he throw 50 touchdowns? Maybe. He would definitely run for more than Dwayne. Because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, what I'm saying is it's just a terrible comparison, man. Like, anybody can go and thrive in a system where you have 5-star offensive lineman, 5-star wide receiver that just went in the first round. You have a 5-star tight end. You have a 5-star defense. It's a very different system, and Daniel Jones did all he could with what he had and won them bowl games. And that's a thing that they haven't done in quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, I was basically impressed with Jones. Like I said, just the place where they took him, the pick where they took him, especially with the guys that were there available right there, because Oakland went and took Clelin Ferrell, kind of pushed Josh Allen right into the Giants' lap. And
Yeah,
if you're
yeah, that
taking
was.
best player available, I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that was, that was. I mean, he even said it himself. And the thing with Dave Gettleman, you know how I feel about him. I said it over and over. He's a different guy on draft day than he is in free agency. Somebody needs to take the mic away from him. His interviews are making the Giants look even worse than we are. I mean, he goes ahead and he said, "Look, like I said, I like Daniel Jones. Genuinely, you can go back on the old podcast. I tweeted it days and days before the draft. I am not mad with Daniel Jones. I like the player, and that's why I do my evaluations on guys before the draft instead of after, so I don't have to, make an opinion then. It's just more biased, and that's how I was with Baker and stuff like that. So, but when he goes ahead and he says he has Josh Allen and Daniel Jones rated the same,
Yeah.
that was kind of bad because Daniel Jones, like I said, I like him again, but Josh Allen is a more elite prospect, and he's more elite at what he does right now. That was a bad take. And then, he says, with Daniel Jones as well, I fell in love with him at the Senior Bowl in 3 drives, and I didn't watch any games before that. Like, okay, that's going to raise some red flags for Giants fans. You know what I mean? And then, he goes ahead and he says he knows for a fact that there's 2 teams that wanted to take him, and then there's a bunch of people saying there wasn't. So he just looks bad, and it makes Daniel Jones look worse. But the worst thing for me right now is what the media is doing to him and what the fans are doing is they're just completely destroying Daniel Jones like this is his fault.
Well,
And that
no,
is
he's the innocent victim in all of this.
right, and that's kind of what me. I put out videos, and that was one of my videos I put out the day of the draft, day after the draft, day after the first round, and I was like, look, you can hate Dave Gettleman, you can hate where we took Daniel Jones, but the things that are being said about Daniel Jones as a person, as a player, and just in general, all the way to how he looks, because you don't like where he was picked, is terrible to me, and that's not his fault. He was sitting in the green room and he got the call. And now I'm seeing all these people change their opinions. I'm like, well, yeah, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, I watched some film. He's not that bad, and he looks like a leader. I'm like, well, maybe you should do that before you say these things, because my mentions, man, are unbelievable, unbelievable.
Well, it's over with. So now let's deal with the aftermath.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just wrote an article in USA Today saying, pretty much stating, should the Giants play Daniel Jones this year? And, is it a waste if they don't? And I think, look at the last 2 guys that were taken at number 6 in the draft. Quentin Nelson, Jamal Adams. Not quarterbacks, but both instant Pro Bowlers. They went right out on the field and produced. That's what the Giants needed. Because they're not, the Kansas City model is not their model. The Green Bay model is not that. Those teams were winning teams when they drafted these guys.
Right.
They were already winning. Giants are losing, and they're referring to these models.
Right. Yeah. No,
they're
I mean, Dave Gettleman, he's an idiot. That's what I'm saying. He just, to me, I literally, just before we recorded this, I tweeted this out. Some guy was asking me, he was like, do you think we're going to see Daniel Jones if he has a good preseason? Do you think he'll start week 1? And I said, this is my opinion. I feel when you draft a rookie quarterback, I think he should play his rookie year. Especially if you're drafting him 6 or I'm not saying a 5th round pick, but if you're drafting a quarterback top 6, top 10, even top 15, you're drafting him to play. And I know these Kansas City models and these Green Bay models, that's fine, man. But to me, I think the rookie needs to go through that adversity. He needs to jump in the league. And you might not have a great year. They're not all like that. They're not all Baker Mayfield. But I think he needs to go through that. Josh Rosen, I think a lot of this is a publicity stunt with how nice he's being and stuff. But look, if he didn't go into the league and get rocked by the Cardinals after the first year and go from feeling as great as he was to getting destroyed, it wouldn't have humbled him up the way it did. You have to come in the league and you have to face adversity if you're going 6 overall, whether it's your fault or not.
Yeah. And, the all the first-round quarterbacks, there was 5 of them last year. Lamar Jackson was taken late in the first round. They all played.
Yeah, no, they all did, and that's incredible. Whether it was injury or not, they all did play, and we're going to change that narrative. I think Dwayne Haskins is going to start for the Redskins day 1. And you know, that'll be
Yeah.
another thing that people debate. You know, they'll be like, oh, they got a day one starter. Look, we did too. It's just who's going to put them on the field. The Giants are very traditional, and overall just a boring franchise. You know, they don't like change, and you know that's what a lot of people don't like about Daniel Jones. And he's not a big change. You know, he's really not. I mean, he has the athleticism, which is what I've wanted for so long. You know that. You know, in the few shows we've
Yeah.
done, I told you over and
Sure.
over. You know, say you're a modern guy, right? You know what I mean? He runs a 4.67. I'm very excited for his athleticism. I've watched a lot of tape on him, just running the ball, and he does a great job with it. I mean, he's a hell of an athlete,
He can
and he
do
can
the
smash.
RPO. He could
Right.
scramble. He could do a quarterback draw. I've seen some plays with quarterback draw. He ran 60 yards for a touchdown.
Right, right, and that's exactly it. You know what I mean? And that's what I've wanted. So that is a change. Now a lot of people are like, you know, a lot of people make the joke that I look like Eli Manning and Daniel Jones, like they always get
I
guys.
saw
You know,
that. Yeah, you
you saw
really
that
don't.
picture?
You don't look
Yeah,
like Eli Manning.
yeah. So a lot of people make that joke. You know what I mean? It just kind of ends up like that. So yes, the Giants don't like a lot of change, man. Whether it's you know look or you know a lot of people use the whole race narrative. I completely disagree with that one, but you know they don't like change, man. So you have to expect something like this. He's a 6'5" cut cliff quarterback. You know he looks like Eli, talks like Eli. The ownership loved him. He just has the you know what I mean. He just has it for a Giants quarterback for them. And
Yes.
until we have a different ownership, I think that's how it'll be for pretty much everything. They
We're
want
never going to have a
that's
different
it.
ownership. So don't
I
even.
know,
That's
I know.
never going to happen.
Yeah, I you know it won't,
That's never
and
going to
that's the
happen.
problem.
Believe me.
That's sad, man. It's real sad.
Not only it's not just one owner. You have two families, two very powerful, rich families who co-own this team. And if one decides to sell, the other will buy it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean,
And
that's what
that's
will happen.
terrible, man. It's it's terrifying because I think ownership is the biggest problem of the Giants franchise for a long time.
I think it's the particular generation. The fathers were pretty good owners, and the sons, well, you know, it's the modern day NFL, so everything's predicated on financial and revenue growth,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
what they target. And I think Steve Tisch, well, his brother Jonathan is really more of the money guy, but Steve Tisch loves owning the Giants.
yeah.
You know, he loves it. John Mara is very, embedded in the league politics. So
That's the
they're not
problem, man.
going
I feel
anywhere.
like that's it. I feel like the Giants are like the you know the head of everything to do with politics. Mara's saying something. And I'm like, look, dude, shut up.
He
Like,
runs the competition committee basically. I mean, and that's the committee that drives a lot of things. The finance committee, a lot of them. The Giants are heavyweights in the league. They're one of the flagship franchises. Jerry Jones probably has the most power because he has the wealthiest team. But Bob Kraft, John Mara, these are the heavyweight owners.
yeah, and they
So
don't want to lose that. So
and they're not giving this team up. This team is closing in on what $4 billion of net worth.
that's insane.
Come on, the team was bought in 1925, I think, for $300 or something like that by the grandfather. So
That's
the
insane,
original
man.
Tim Mara, yeah.
God damn, I didn't know it was $300. That's
There's something
crazy.
like that. It was less than $1,000,
That's
but
insane. Can you imagine? Wow.
1925 too. I mean, it's the Roaring Twenties, and football is a club sport back then. It wasn't even a big city sport. It was basically around a couple of Midwest cities, like Chicago may have been the biggest city at the time. You
That's
know,
nuts. See, you got that history on me.
yeah. I mean, I wasn't around back then, but I don't think anybody is still around from around back then.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
But
But
going back to Daniel Jones, what do you see him doing in this Pat Shurmur offense? Is he a Pat Shurmur type of quarterback? Can he be a Nick Foles? Can he be a Case Keenum? Where do you see him ending up?
well, I think if we're comparing or putting him in that from Shermer's previous guys, I think he fits in that mold perfectly. I mean, I think you literally that's the perfect fit. I think that's better than Dwayne Haskins. I think that's but I didn't like Drew Lock at all, but I think that's better than Drew Lock because you got to look at it that way. Is at the end of the day, he does fit those molds. You look at Nick Foles. He's not fast. He's what he has on both of them is he has speed, but they got the same builds, the same throwing style, the same throwing motion, the same IQ on the field, the same IQ off the field. They're all very clean cut, straight, like quarterbacks. You know what I mean? That's it. They're just very clean. And that's exactly what Shermer thrived with. Like I loved Kyler Murray. That was my top quarterback in the draft. But if we're talking, fits with Pat Shermer, he's not a Pat Shermer fit. Now, am I saying he wouldn't have done good? No, I think Kyler Murray's gonna be great, but I think that Daniel Jones out of this draft was the best Pat Shermer fit, 100%. Just comparing what he's done with Case Keenum and Nick Foles and whoever else he's been with, you know what I mean? That's the type of quarterback that he has had, and I think he knows that, and I think he's going to do really good things with Daniel Jones. So I think it was the best fit for the Giants, and they knew that too, obviously. So
then why did Pat Shermer look like he
God.
was ready to cry when Gettleman was so happy that he drafted Daniel Jones? Did you see Shermer's face?
Yeah. I think the big thing with Pat Shermer, man, is no matter what anybody tells you, he didn't want to lose Odell Beckham. He knows he's a head coach, man. It's a star player. It's firepower. You can make your offense around it. So I think he views it like, well, shit, you know what I mean? I just got 2 first rounders, and neither of them are star firepower that I can put right in right away. And he's like, well, we didn't get better then. And I think as a head coach, that's a viable, opinion. It's like you look at it and you're like, you see these teams like the Jaguars, they get Jawan Taylor and Josh Allen. So you're a head coach. You're like, shit, I got 2 new Pro Bowl starters. You look at the Redskins, they get Montez Sweat and Dwayne Haskins. They're both going to start. They're both going to be starters and Pro Bowlers at the end of the day, likely. So it's like, you got to look at it that way. That's probably why he's looking like that. Maybe he doesn't hate the picks, but he's probably like, man, where's mine? Like, you know what I mean? At 17, I don't know if we're going to talk about him, so I don't need to go into that.
Well, no, I want to just go through the draft with you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get the Jones thing out of the way. You're one of the few people that are really digging the pick.
Yeah.
I don't mind having Jones, like I said, on the Giants, but let's get him going right away.
Yeah.
Because that would be a waste of a 6th pick if he sits an entire year.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Daniel Jones, man. I'm the type, I don't evaluate the whole draft class. I'm not going to do tape on everyone. But quarterback is my spot. I used to play it, and that's where I try to do my best to do my biggest deep dives, and I do it really far out. You weren't following me at the Baker time, but I had him as my first quarterback a year and a half out, and I just don't change my opinions. You know what I mean? I get my opinions, and then I go into the draft and I keep them out of the draft. Whether we took, Haskins, Locke, or if we took Locke, you'd hear a lot more negative because I'm not going to change my opinion. I'm going to support him, but I had my opinions. So with Daniel Jones, man, I saw really a lot of good things in him. I liked him as a player. I liked him as a person. I really liked what he can bring to the offense. And I thought, as Dave Gettleman said, I agreed with him. He's the one that can handle the New York adversity well enough. And he grew up where I'm from. You know what I mean? I like the person just in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But as a player, I'm a modern guy. I like speed. I like RPO. I just enjoy that. And I think that's exactly what we needed. And we got that. And I think it's really rare to find a guy that's 6'5", almost 6'6", with that weight that can run like that. And I think they knew that too. They were like, this is our size, this is our guy, and he has what everyone's been looking for. So I think that they thought when they took him 6 overall, you know what I mean, it wouldn't be the reaction that it was. You know what I mean? Because we've been clamoring for a quarterback for God knows how long.
Well, let's say if they released Eli and they took him at 6, no one would be saying anything because we need a quarterback.
Right, exactly. And, that's the problem with the Giants. I think Mike Francesca, and I don't know how you feel about it, I think he's an idiot. But the one thing he did say that I agreed with is they can't get out of their own way. You know what I mean? It's like they try to do one thing good, and, the next thing they do is just straight bad. And basically, like you just said, if they would have released Eli and had a plan, because to me, they didn't just spontaneously take Jones at 6. The night before the draft, I read a report that was their guy. That's who they're going to take. I tweeted it out, and I believed it. But, something tells me they had this guy number 1 on their board for a long time. And because that doesn't happen overnight. You know what I mean? They're not just like, oh, Daniel Jones, 6 overall overnight. It doesn't happen like that, man. And I think, like I said, I think that they should have cut Eli. We both know we talked about this, but I read something the other day and I didn't know the validity of it, but apparently they can still save $11 million on the cap if they cut him before something.
They won't.
They won't. Oh, I know they won't.
It
But
should
I'm
have been
saying,
done already.
yeah, they just can't get out of their own way, man. And that's what I'm saying is, if they drafted him 6, Eli should have been cut already. But Eli should be cut, like, even just make a little narrative. Oh, Daniel Jones beat him out, then cut him. Like, if it's gonna do something, just make up a little story and then cut him. If you're scared of everyone's feelings. They just, like I said, again, they can't get out of their own way. Whenever they do one thing that's trying to move forward, they go backwards. And that's the problem. So I don't know, man. I think he should start day 1 too. I think that.
Well, I don't know if he
Eli
should
should have
start
been
day
gone.
1, but I'd like to see him start. I'd like to see him play 10 games.
Yeah. I mean, for
At
me,
least
I think
10
he should
games.
I think he should be thrown right in, and just start day 1.
Now, I
So.
got in trouble this week for tweeting out that the Giants blew the entire first round. And I think they did. Now, the players they took are good. Don't get me wrong. But they used 5 picks to get guys that 2 of them they could have gotten in the second round.
For who?
DeAndre Baker was sinking like a stone. And they traded up in the first round to get him, and they traded 3 picks.
Yeah, the what they gave away was way too much. I agree with that. I think if they would have waited it out, 2 more picks, it would have been a lot less to move up from 37 to 33 in the second round, just value wise.
I think
So
the issue is they want that 5th-year option.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's why I get that. But the 5th-year
guy
option
may not
for
be a
corner,
first-round pick to begin with.
Yeah, the 5th-year option for a cornerback isn't very valuable, just based off of financial. It's the most it's the least valuable 5th-year option for corners.
I agree. And at 17, they took. I love the guy. I love Dexter Lawrence. I think he's a very good player, but he's a rotational player.
Yeah, that's what I said. That was my analysis on him, man. Was I like Dexter Lawrence. I like the pick. I see the potential. I see the value. But that was the last thing. And when I say last thing, that was the last thing we needed, was a run-stuffing defensive tackle. Now, neither of us are sitting here saying he's a bad player. He's a bad person. It's just that was the last thing. And that was the Odell Beckham pick. And and like I just said, they can't get out of their own way. You know what I mean? So they use the 17th overall pick for a position we don't need. What if they got Sweat there? Okay, star power.
I would have liked that. I would have liked.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, all right, you traded Odell Beckham, you're an idiot, but you got a star, you got an edge rusher and filled a need. But you go and get the one thing. We have Dalvin Tomlinson. We have BJ Hill. We have these guys, man, that are good. So now what you're going to do is, the only way I see them doing this is you put BJ Hill on the end, Dalvin Tomlinson, Dexter Lawrence, and then you figure out the rest. But at the end of the day, why, man? BJ Hill is solid in the middle. Why?
It's baffling to me. I like Lawrence, but I said to Craig, we did a podcast earlier. Craig from New York Giants Rush was on with me, and I said they're digging holes and filling them up. They traded Snacks, they traded Eli Apple, and what did they get in the first round? Replacements for both guys.
Mm-hmm. And that's not good. That's not good, man. You can't. If you're going to pick 3 times in the first round, and I hate saying this because, look, I like DeAndre Baker. It's not about not liking him. I agree with what you said. I think we should have gotten him in the second. But DeAndre Baker, in my opinion, the best corner in this draft. I think he plays like a safety. I think he's an incredible player. His stats speak for himself. He hasn't allowed a touchdown.
No, he's a good player. But the thing is this draft was chock full of corners.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, look at Julian Love. Julian Love is a day one starter.
There you go.
And we got him in the 3rd round. So, at the end of the day, I hear what
you got him in
the
the 4th round.
4th round, right.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, for me, it's I think the worst thing you can do is, especially as a GM, is lie. And all he's doing is lying, man, because he's saying it's best player available. But he says we don't draft for needs. You just drafted for needs twice, 3 times, really. That's all you did in the first round. Like you just said, they're digging the holes, Damon Harrison, and then, Eli Apple. So you not only do you get a corner and defensive tackle, you trade up for a corner, regardless of how much I like him. So
Yep.
you're lying. And then, you go in the media and you say, I agree with this. Granted, I think that Daniel Jones would have been gone by 17. But you say, for a fact, 2 teams would have taken him. For a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have all these people, including people within the team, that are like, dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it just looks so bad. Like, you can't, it's just the lies from this guy. Like, no matter how good he drafts, and granted, I think this draft was really good. I think we got a lot of starters as a whole. And I think it was a good value draft. Like O'Shane, I think that was a great pick. I think it was a good draft. But man, you can't, it's the hardest thing when you're already the laughing stock of the league. But then you have your GM constantly all over Bleacher Report and stuff making fun of him because he's such an idiot just in the media. It's like, what else, man? Like, what else do we need to do here? I never thought I'd see the day, and I think you're the same, where the Giants would literally become the joke of the league. And that's what they're becoming.
Well, in the 70s, they were the joke of the league.
Yeah, but that, you know what I'm saying? I mean, modern day, like,
but
man, like the Giants.
There's no reason for it in this day and age.
Yeah, like 2011, the Giants, man, like, are the joke now. They really are, and that is something I always thought. The Giants weren't going to be great every year, maybe 8-8 every year. But if I would have told you that the Giants would have picks like that, top 10, top 5, like 4 years in a row, what? You know what I mean? No way. Yeah. And it's sad, man. It's so sad.
It's to me, it's a little depressing because I'm looking at. There's a website called Our Lads. I think it's a gambling website, but they also put out information, and they have a primitive depth chart of the Giants. And on defense, they have Lorenzo Carter, Marcus Golden, and O'Shane Ximenez all playing the same position.
Oh, Jesus.
All on one side of the field, and on the other side of the field, they have Kareem Martin and somebody else.
Dude, I forgot about Kareem Martin. Oh my God.
That's kind of you're kind of piling on. I mean, can they all play at once? There's only one play at a time? That's my question.
I completely forgot about Kareem Martin. Yeah, that was another one of the makes no sense. You go ahead and you get Marcus Golden and you keep Kareem Martin. Man, this could have been so good. When they traded Olivier Vernon for the Zeitler, I was like, okay, like, all right, you know what I mean? They're doing something here. And then the Odell thing happened. I was pissed. You know that. I know you called it. All respect. I was pissed. I'm still pissed.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you know what I mean? Fine. Then they didn't make any cuts, didn't do anything they needed to do, go into the draft, fill holes, as you said. Where I gotta ask, man. I mean, like I said, again, I'm not knocking the draft. Good draft. I like the draft. But where did we get better? Where? Because I like Marcus Golden, but we don't know we don't know yet. He could have 12 sacks. He could have 1. Kareem Martin, I think he's a bum. I don't see anything in him at all. And then you look at O'Shane, I think he's gonna be good, but he's not gonna be a 10-sack guy on the first. I don't see that. No. You know what I mean? They just won't play him enough. And then, Julian Love, I think he'll be really good. I have nothing to say about him. Dexter Lawrence, I think he's not going to be a stat guy. And I'm a stat guy. You know what I mean? I think you need that for the firepower. He's going to be a Damon Harrison. If you're just a guy that looks at stats, you'd think, okay, he's decent, but he was actually the best run stuffer in the league. So you get what I'm saying. They're not Pro Bowlers. They're not stars. You know what I mean? You need that, man. It's marketing. It's value. It's something for teams to plan against. You don't need to plan against Dexter Lawrence. He's in the middle. Yep. Don't run in the middle. What are you going to do? You don't need to plan against Daniel Jones because he's probably not going to play. You don't need to plan against DeAndre Baker because, yes, he's a good corner, but what are you going to do? You know what I mean? He's a good corner.
Yeah.
So it's like we didn't get, if you have Montez Sweat, dude runs a damn 4.4. You throw him on the edge, you got to plan against that.
He creates a mismatch.
Yeah, you need double teams. You need to talk to your O-line and go, hey, we need to double team this guy because he runs a 4.4 and he's going to bull rush us all game long. Where did we get that? You know what I mean? I don't see it, man. So like I said, I like the draft, and I'm not trying to sound, like I'm contradicting myself here. It's just, I agree with your point. They filled holes. Where did we get better? I don't know, man. And I think in the long term, I think Daniel Jones will be the answer. But as of right now, and knowing what the Giants will do, he's a non-factor right now. For now.
Yeah.
So where? And it's just sad, man. There was so much value at 17, and we could have traded up. Anything. Go and get Devin Bush before the Steelers can. Go and do something where you got a star player with that Odell pick. Because at the end of the day, as much as people hate it, and it's just true, that was the Odell pick. It just was. You know what I mean? And
That in '95 were the Odell picks, and they
right.
ended up with Lawrence and Zimenez.
Yeah, and people are, I
And
usually I think
Peppers.
people and I think people are ridiculous sometimes with it with certain things, but dude, I don't disagree. You know what I mean? That was your haul. That's what you got. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, what if they went and used again, I like O'Shea, but say what if we used that third and that first and maybe a second and we traded back up into like the top 10 and got like Devin Bush or say we got Devin, somebody else at 6 like Josh Allen and then, Daniel Jones at 10. Like what if we did that? Then that number 17 pick looks like you had a plan. But once again, I stress it. Where is the plan? You don't have one.
Let
Your
me
plan
give
is
you an
to get rid of the
example of
old
the
guys.
plan, or the no plan. Last summer, they dedicated a third-round pick in a supplemental draft to Sam Beal. And now they're drafting over him.
Exactly. And, dude, I like Sam Beal. He's going to play, but now just like that, he gets pushed down the depth chart. Because at the end of the day, Baker's going to get the spot over him.
And maybe he won't play. That's the other thing. Now, maybe he's a backup now.
And, that's so bad, man. Because they say BPA, but, I mean, like, again, I like Baker, but he wasn't the BPA at 30. I don't know who would have been, but he wasn't.
No.
You know what I mean? Maybe Keneal Henry, however you pronounce it.
N'Keal Henry, who
he wasn't the BPA.
Patriots took, yeah.
I think we probably could have got Baker at 37. And if not at 37, we could have traded like a fourth, a fifth, and a third and moved, or maybe even less, and moved up to like 35 and got him, 34.
You had no second-round pick after that. And there was a lot of talent in that second round.
Oh, the second round at 37, man, was stacked. I mean, Cody Ford was there.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, the second round was stacked. I mean, the players that were there was just. I have to go back and look again to see who went 33 through like 50, but I think it was like literally 33 through like 50 were probably all somehow first round talent.
Yes, and I have it right in front of me, and it is staggering because after the Giants took Baker, Caleb McGarry was taken by Atlanta, and that's a guy they could use, an offensive tackle, right? And then N'Keal Harry, then Byron Murphy, Rock Ya-Sin, Jawan Taylor, Deebo Samuel, Craig Little, Cody Ford, Sean Bunting, Trayvon Mullen, Dalton Reisner.
Dalton Reisner too, man. Oh my God.
Greedy Williams, Joanne Williams.
Damn, I forgot about Reisner too. Reisner and Ford. Oh my God.
So look at all the corners that were taken right after Baker. It was a run on corners, and they would have had one of them.
Oh yeah, we get Rock Ya-Sin. He was a beast.
Sean Bunting.
Greedy, yeah, Bunting. Well, Bunting to me wasn't. I think that was a little bit of a surprise pick. I don't think he should have went that early, but.
Well, Greedy Williams was there, and Joanne Williams, a 6'4" guy from Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I mean they were all sitting there, and oh man.
Of course, the Patriots got him.
Oh, of course they did. Of course they did. You know what I mean? And he's going to be an All-Pro. So it's amazing to me. Now when you look at it this way, I like DeAndre Baker, but wow, man, I would have been cool with Rock Ya-Sin. You know what I mean? Like Jesus.
If they were going to trade up, they could have got all the way to well, they couldn't have got the Redskins did, but they could have got to 26. The Colts were giving that pick up, I think. And they could have got Sweat or sooner.
Yeah, because the Redskins went what? 27?
The Redskins were 26. Let me see who they traded with that. Wow. Where is it? The Redskins were right here. It says Traded first round selection to Washington in exchange for Washington's second round, which was 46, and a 2020 second round.
That's it?
That's it.
And where did they move up from?
They moved up from 46 to 26.
46 to 26.
And they threw in a 2020 second rounder.
Oh my God. That's all they get. I didn't know that. That's all they gave up.
And they got sweat.
And we gave up a second, a fourth, and a third, or right? What did we give up? A second?
We gave up our second, which was 37.
37.
A fourth, which was 132, and a fifth, which was 142.
To move from 37 to 30.
To 30. Correct.
They moved up 20 picks. We moved up 7.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow, this is hurting my feelings.
And that was with Seattle, that trade.
Well, Seattle, they're always easy.
And then
because Seattle's like literally that team that you can just be like, hey, we'll give you 2 fifths, and they're like, oh my God, we're gonna find our next star, and they'll take it.
And then Seattle traded that pick to Carolina to move back, and they got 3 more picks out of it.
The Raiders and the Seahawks were just moving everywhere.
Yeah, Seattle came in with very few picks, and then they ended up, I think, with 9. I think they had 5, and they ended up with 9.
Oh, Jesus, sorry.
So they did pretty well.
Yeah, Seattle, and I bet you like 60% of them will turn out to be starters. They have a very good.
Oh, absolutely, offense. Yeah. Yeah, they had a very good draft.
They always do, and it's always late. They don't do well in the first. They never do.
Correct.
Never in the second, but they ball out.
Second round they got DK Metcalf.
Yeah, I love DK.
I think they got Marquise Blair also.
No, you know what, man? DK went in the 3rd round.
It says right here, last pick of the second round.
Okay, last pick. Well, yeah, there you go.
Last pick of the second round, because they got that pick from New England.
Okay, I was thinking he was like the first pick in the 3rd or something. Well,
yeah, he was the last pick. I'm looking at the chart right now.
Close enough.
And it's to me, they just did the Giants just didn't get a lot of value here.
No, I mean the thing you just told me about
traded way too much for the corner for Baker. And they didn't make a move to get back into the second, which is what they really needed to do.
Yeah, all we had to. I mean, if you're telling me that the Redskins moved up 20 spots,
they did,
and gave away a second and a second, we could have moved. We could have taken like our 3rd, a 4th, and maybe like a next year 3rd, and moved up from.
But he doesn't like to do that. He doesn't like to go into the future picks. That's what he said.
See, I'm the opposite. I would.
And next year they already got 8, possibly 9 or 10 picks in the bank already.
Yeah, why, man? Like they could have traded a next year 3rd. They're going to get it back for Landon Collins.
Right, and they have the chart that I sent out. I think I sent it to you.
Oh my God.
The chart that we have here. Let me see exactly. I have it right here. Let me bring it up for you. It's the compensatory chart. The Giants should get a 3rd. This is from one of the websites. I forget which website it is. Over the Cap. You ever see that one?
Yeah, I use them all the time.
Okay, this guy's okay. He's not exact. It's not an exact science anyway. But he's saying we're going to get an extra 3rd for Collins, and then a 7th round for Mario Edwards, a 7th round for Kerry Wynn, and a 7th round for Josh Morrow. So
all they had to do
was trade next year 3rd. Now you have 4 extra picks.
All they had to do is trade a next year 3rd, man. We're gonna get it right back. Oh my God.
Yep. So he's not even thinking about that.
I would literally guarantee you my life that he didn't even like factor that in. Oh my God, 2/3. Can't do it. Like I swear to God, man. The way the NFL GMs think is so sad to me. Like they value a 5th round pick like it's Jesus.
And how many of them work out?
What are you getting, dude? Like they'll trade a 6th round pick for like a star player in the NFL. Like I hate Antonio Brown, right? I think he's an idiot. I think he's an absolute idiot. But for what he is, they give up what, a 4th and a 5th? What did they get? Like,
I know.
Oh my God. I sound so whiny right now, man, but like, oh my God.
It's when it was happening, I knew what was happening, and I was like,
I didn't
"What are
think
they
of it this
doing?"
deep.
And when
I didn't know about the Redskins
and
thing.
I got
That's
blasted when people said when I said they blew the first round, and I said now they don't have a second round pick, and they don't pick till the end of the third, which is where they took Semenus. So people asked me, what can they do to get a second round pick back? And I said, well, he's de-reacifying the roster. Maybe he trades Evan Ingram
yeah, man. I think it's such a
or
bad
Dalvin
pride
Tomlinson.
thing. I think it is, man. I think it's like he's gonna do everything in his power to like even the good players, like Romeo Aquara going into the year is my sleeper, and he just got a
Yikes.
2-year contract extension. He only got rid of him because it was a Reese pick. Like that pissed me off, man. Like why?
You don't
Like
think Romeo Aquara could play better than Kareem Martin?
that's what I'm saying, man. Like Romeo Aquara to me, I tweeted, I was so mad because I literally tweeted the day of he got cut. I was like, Romeo Aquara is my sleeper this year. I can't wait to see him. And then he gets cut. So I quoted it and I was like, well. And he had 8.5 sacks and just got a 2-year extension.
Why do you cut him? Why don't you trade him?
He just it's a pride thing, man. He doesn't want to see the value from a Reese pick. I swear to God, I think that's legit. Like he will not get value from a Reese pick. I think it's a pride thing, and I mean that.
Well,
I
you know
mean that.
what? He's got to learn to swallow his pride.
And I mean that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I see it.
That's sad. It's very sad. So, what do you think of some of the other guys they picked up? I mean, Julian Love. I know you like him. Um, Ryan Connolly. Do you know anything about him? Middle
Yeah,
linebacker from Wisconsin.
He's a former quarterback, and whenever you have a former quarterback that plays linebacker or safety, they're usually pretty good in coverage, and that he is. He's I have a lot of friends that watch a lot of Wisconsin games, and they gave me a big breakdown.
They produce a lot of pros.
Yeah, they gave me a big breakdown on him. Good in coverage, you know what I mean. A little bit of a sloppy tackler from time to time. I watch a lot of things on him.
Well, wasn't he a walk-on?
Yeah, he was a walk-on.
Right.
He seems like a smart guy. Smart, instinctive linebacker. He's not going to play a lot. It was a depth pick. But we've had a lot of injuries with linebackers, so you might see him, but I don't really, there's not much for me to say on that. I think he's mostly just a coverage guy. He's not a pass rusher at all, like in any way, shape, or form. I think he had like 0.5 sacks.
Huh.
He can cover pretty well. He's really good against tight ends. And that's my thing on, I always say, so I just say O'Shane or X-Man. He, very, very good against tight ends. His expertise is pass rushing, obviously, but if you turn the film on him, he covers very well, very well.
And they need that.
And that was one big thing that a lot of scouts and a lot of analysis talk about, that he can cover tight ends.
So now I see. Let me just tell you right now. I'm going on the depth chart, and they flipped him over to the Sam side, where he's behind Kareem Martin now. This morning, they had him on the Will side behind Carter and Golden.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
So now, you're right. Now that makes more sense. So
that makes more sense now, because if you have that makes sense, because then O'Shane can beat out Carter. I mean, not Carter.
He could beat out Martin. So what you would have Martin, on the field, you would have Ogletree and Goodson, if Goodson's healthy, in the middle. And Zeminis at the Sam, and Carter at the Will, with Golden coming in packages to rush the passer.
Yeah, see, that's cool. That I'm cool with. Where do they have Dexter Lawrence?
They have him behind Tomlinson at the nose tackle, but I know he's going to end up starting, and they're probably going to shift Tomlinson over to the right side.
Yeah, he can be. Tomlinson is more of a he's not a nose tackle to me anyways. So that I'm cool with. If they actually do it that way, I'm cool with it. Like a nose tackle is supposed to be Dexter Lawrence. So if look, this is how we're both looking at it. If they do this right, which they won't, this can make sense. It'll at least help a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah. If they do it right. But they'll find a way to put in Tomlinson and do a bunch of weird stuff. And then you'll literally see Dexter Lawrence running on and off the field. It's going to be a mess.
Yeah, see, the problem I have with a first-round pick, The rule of thumb is they should be able to play 80% of the snaps, which means you can't take a rotational player in the first round.
Right.
And that's
And he never
exactly
plays
what they
thirds.
did.
Yeah, he never plays thirds.
So he's going to play 40% of the snaps at 345 pounds. I mean, they're trying to sell it as he's a 3-down player, and he's
No,
not.
he's not at all. Like that's why when the Giants account tweeted, they were like, "QBs beware." I was like, guys, no. What are you talking about? Stop.
Yeah.
No, that's running
I
backs.
saw that little meme they threw out there with him.
Yeah, I was like, guys, that's running backs beware. I'm all for you there, but he's not getting to no quarterback.
Well, he's very strong. He can push the pocket, but that's not going to do much. Quarterback just roll 5 feet out to the right and make a throw.
Well, the best teams have a player that pushes the pocket and then rushers on the edge.
Right.
They have 2 defensive tackles that push the pocket and open it up, and then the edge rushers, come in obviously from the edge. And we don't have any of those things really. So, oh my God, this is depressing. This is really depressing.
Well, Julian Love should be a prize pick. I mean, sometimes even a blind squirrel finds nuts, and he just happened to be there in the 4th round.
That's the type of guy you trade up for.
Yeah.
Like shit, you know what I mean? But
so I see him coming in and playing either. I don't know if he's going to play on the outside, but I would see him maybe playing slot.
Yeah, I mean, Gettleman said, granted, trust me, I don't trust anything Gettleman said, but he came out in the media yesterday and he said Julian Love is a starting slot cornerback as of now.
Yeah, he can do it. I mean, but, they had Haley, who did a pretty good job. He's going to get pushed to the side now.
Yeah, I mean, what they said was Julian Love, as of right now, is the starting slot corner, but they're going to try him out at free safety, is what I saw.
Free safety? So what is Jabril Peppers going to do?
Jabril's going to be a strong, I'm assuming.
They have Bethea as strong and Jabril is free, but we know they both can play both.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Giants, I'm putting Jabril at strong, no matter what, personally. But that's just me. I wouldn't play Jabril at free.
That's interesting.
I think he's more of a thumper downhill. I'd put him at strong.
Yeah. We'll see what they do with them. I don't know. They have them listed the other way. So, I mean, they could just be guessing also with this. Like I said, this is a rudimentary depth chart that they just pulled out of the top of their head. None of the draft picks are listed as starters.
All you got to do is pick the most unreasonable and unthinkable situation and put it on a piece of paper, and you're going to be right.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, man.
Let me ask you about Corey Ballantyne. I did a little work on him. I saw him at the Combine, and he's a pretty good athlete, this kid.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate what happened to him over the weekend. It's a very terrible situation.
Yeah, he got released from the hospital today. They already said he's going to be in training camp, which is really great.
Which is this week.
Yeah, but so when I saw the Ballantyne pick, man, he's going to be a very deep depth corner. He's a special teams guy. Yeah. He's a special teams guy. Exactly. He had 4 blocked punts, 4 blocked kicks or something. He had a few touchdown returns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's very, very good in special teams. He's a gunner. I mean, that's what he's going to be. So that was a special teams pick, and I'm cool with that.
And Conley's a special teams pick too.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
Now their last 2 picks, they picked a Kentucky kid from the Bronx, George Asafo-Ajayi, who's a tackle, who went up against some of the biggest and baddest SEC rushers, and he had to practice against Josh Allen every day.
Yeah. And I think that's why they took him.
He lasted a lot of tape. Yeah, he lasted a long time, but he's a big guy, and hopefully he can come in and challenge for that right tackle position.
Yeah, he seems like a great person too, man, and that's always important to me. You know what I mean? I'm the type of guy. I've always been this way. You know what I mean? I said the same thing with Antonio Brown and whoever else. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're an egotistical, trash person, I don't want you. Yeah. I just don't want you. And I know you think Odell, whatever. I know somebody's going to call me out and be like, well, why'd you like Odell? Because Odell is not Antonio Brown.
No.
And don't compare it. please. But
No,
you get what I'm
Odell
saying.
is a good guy. I've interviewed him myself a few times, and he's a very soft-spoken guy, good kid. No longer a kid, but when I interviewed him, he was a good kid, and he can't help it that he's this big of a star.
No, exactly, and that's it. You know what I mean? Shoot, embrace it, man. I would too.
But the
You know what I mean?
problem
Why not?
is in the NFL, when somebody reaches that level of stardom, it's tough for a team, especially a losing team, to digest that whole dynamic.
And I think that's what it was.
It really is.
And now I think he's going to go win, and I'm happy for him. At the end of the day,
And
I truly
Cleveland
am.
is just adding character issue after character issue out there, and he's going to take the hit for a lot of this, and it's not his fault.
That's the problem too, though. Is I really respect what the Browns are doing. Like they take all the talent. They don't really value the character. I mean, Greedy Williams, he had a lot of character issues based off what I read. That's why he slipped.
Mac Wilson.
Mac Wilson, a crap ton of character issues. He slipped. They always end up taking him. You know what I mean? Like Kareem Hunt, I love him. I think he got kind of done wrong, and that's controversial, but that's just my opinion. But they took him. I think if Tyreek Hill was released, they'd find a way to take him. You know what I mean? Like, and it might win you some games, man. But if you don't, it's gonna break.
Well, the problem I have is they have a rookie head coach in charge of this whole operation, and that could be a problem too.
That's true.
So that's my take on Cleveland. You have a collection of good players that a team does not make. When the parts, the sum of the parts is greater than the whole, you don't have a team. And that's what happened with the Giants here too. You had guys like Olivier Vernon, Odell Beckham, guys that were just, they weren't on the field. They ended up not being on the field in the end, and the team's sitting there saying, let's just break this up. Let's see what we can get for it. And now we know what they got for it, and a lot of people aren't happy with it. I'm saying let's wait and see. You never know, but I think they're thinking about what they could have gotten for those guys. I think they could have gotten more.
Oh yeah, no, I agree, 100%.
Especially in the draft.
Oh yeah. Compensation, man.
Like I said with Lawrence, I like him, but I would have taken him in the second round. And I think a lot of teams were looking to take him in the second round.
Yeah, he went too early. We should have traded back. They never trade back either. They never do that.
I don't know what happened here, but I took a lot of heat this last week for saying that they blew the first round of this draft, and people say, "How do you know? You haven't played yet." I said, "They don't even have to play." I said, "We didn't utilize the picks that we had. We used 5 picks to take 3 guys, and 2 of them, one of them's not going to play at all, and the other one's only going to be a part-time player."
Yeah, no, I agree. There's nothing I don't agree. You know that. I've voiced all these things already. I'm just a little bit of a spearhead for Daniel Jones here.
No, I want him out there. I want to make this thing worth it. He's got to be out there.
Right.
Like Sam Darnold was right out there. And what's the difference between Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones? They both started for 3 years, right, in college or whatever. I don't think Darnold started for 3. I think he only started for 2.
Yeah, one had a good school with good talent around him. One didn't.
Yeah, but still, the experience is there.
Yeah. No. Yeah. 100%.
So he's a 3-year starter. It's not like he hasn't played football. It's not like Haskins, a 1-year starter.
Yeah, Haskins, man. I'm telling you, I'm happy we passed on him. I really am, and I mean that.
Now, the reason why they passed on him, I think one of the reasons, because they like Jones better, first of all. But as soon as Haskins signed with the Redskins, all of a sudden he announces he has this brand thing going on. And, him and the father, they had a big party and everything else and introduced his brand. That would be the last thing the Giants need right now, is to have this guy come out with some kind of side enterprise. Haven't we had enough of that here?
That's why he said Daniel Jones is the one that can, carry the load.
Wow.
And I agree.
That would have just blown everybody's head if that happened.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
Because we don't need any more sideshows. We've had enough.
I agree.
We've had enough of this stuff. if you're winning, it's great, but you're not winning. And I don't know what happens in Washington if Haskins plays right away, but they better protect him because if they don't, he's going to fail.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. That's how I felt
His
about him.
bread was buttered on both sides at Ohio State. He had great line, great receivers.
That's my main fight with this Daniel Jones thing. I know you've seen my tweets. That's my fight for the comparisons.
Drew Lock isn't going to play, so he's got it made. He's going to sit for a year, but they already know that. And he's a second-round pick now. He's not a first-round pick.
Yeah, I know they're happy with how that turned out because I know they liked him. I didn't like him, but I know they did, so that just worked out good for them.
And Murray's going to walk right out on the field with nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. He's going to have a huge bonus, signing bonus. He's going to be happy as hell. He's going to succeed because, as I put it in a podcast not too long ago, if he went out there by himself against 11 guys, he could make something happen because they can't catch him.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's what, you know how I feel about that. You know what I mean?
I said it'd be like Jason Statham in The Transporter.
Uh-huh. He's gone.
Against 11 guys. But, he's got some weapons around him now, too, in Arizona. They did a good job this year.
They had a really good draft.
That Andy Isabella, man, and they got Hakeem Butler. They already have Larry coming back, right?
I watched us keep just getting rid of him, and keep passing on him. Oh, that pissed me off. I loved Hakeem Butler, and the same thing with Harmon from NC State. I'm happy with the wide receiver from Auburn, though.
Hakeem Butler reminds me a little bit of a wide receiver that the Lions had not too long ago by the name of Herman Moore.
Yeah.
Do you remember him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He might be a little faster than Herman Moore, but Herman Moore was almost uncoverable. He was about 6'5". And the Lions had a lefty quarterback by the name of Scott Mitchell, who had a pretty good arm. He could throw the ball. And he was just winging out there. Herman Moore had 3-4 guys on him. He'd just come down with the ball. And the Lions, that's when they had Barry Sanders and so forth, and they were a decent team. But that's who Hakeem Butler reminds me of.
Yeah, Hakeem Butler's going to be a beast, man. I really wanted him.
Just the kind of guy. He doesn't create a lot of separation, but he still makes the play.
Yeah, we kept passing on him, and I was just like, oh, man.
But they did get a kid, I forgot to mention, from Auburn, Darius Slayton. Let's be the last thing we talk about. How's that?
I've watched him play live a lot, man. He's a good player. He's fast as hell. He's a big body. That's exactly what I was calling for. I wanted a big body that was fast because we needed one. He's a good player, man. He's very raw. He has a lot of drop problems. Like I said, I've seen him play a few times in front of me. He's a good player, man. He does a good job creating separation. He has really good body control, especially up in the air with his size. Good player. He just needs to clean up the drops. But other than that, it was really good value.
They also signed 2 other wide receivers after the draft. Alex Wesley from Northern Colorado is very fast. I think he's a 4.46 guy. He had a good combine. I saw him at the combine. And Reggie White Jr., who's not named after the Reggie White, but another Reggie White, from Monmouth, which is a local school here.
They always get somebody from Monmouth, I swear.
And he's about 6'1", 215 also. So, and he's fast. So, there's going to be a nice competition at wide receiver, I think.
I agree.
Plus, they signed all those guys back. Benny Fowler and Coleman and
Latimer.
So, it's, they've got a big group to choose from. They still have Jawill Davis, Alonzo Russell, Russell Shepard is back again. They re-signed him.
We got so many receivers.
They got about 10 guys. I don't know how they're going to work this, but the more the merrier.
The injuries scared him, that's why.
Yeah. All right, man, you got anything else for me?
It's about it, man. You know what I mean? As always, it's good to come on here and talk about it. You made me a little bit depressed, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. How did I make you depressed?
I just didn't know that's all they gave up, man. That killed me.
Yeah, that's why I said this. I said that they didn't manage this very well.
Sheesh. I just didn't know that. I didn't know that's all they gave up. Wow.
They fall in love with guys and they pay any price.
That's how it works. Even at the Senior Bowl, 3 years in a row with the Senior Bowl MVP.
Did they recruit anywhere else?
I don't think so.
Just go to the Senior Bowl and that's it?
I've been to the Senior Bowl, and they're there. Trust me.
Yeah, I know.
In large.
And the Senior Bowl MVPs usually don't pan out very well. You know that.
3 years in a row, man. We picked one, so let's see if we got it right finally.
Yeah, E.J. Manuel, Pat White. Going back, there's been a lot of Senior Bowl MVPs that don't even make it. They get drafted
scary.
and you never see them.
That's scary, man.
So, now this kid is, I think
he's different.
got it.
He's different.
I think he's a little different. Just like you don't draft running backs number 2, but we drafted one that was a little different. We know that. We drafted a player, a weapon. And I think people talk about Saquon Barkley. I think of more of as a receiver than a running back.
Oh, yeah. He does everything, man. He's the best running back in the league, period.
Running back with 90 catches. I mean, he's a receiver, really.
He does everything, man. He's incredible.
And Daniel Jones, I think, would be perfect in that offense, throwing the short passes. He could create a little space for himself, extend plays. That's all Pat Shermer wants. He wants somebody who can extend plays. You don't have to have the greatest arm. That's why they like Kyle Lauletta, because he could do that too, but he's not as good as Daniel Jones, I don't think. Obviously not as big as Daniel Jones or as fast either. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said that earlier. I think he's the best fit. You know what I mean?
Excellent. So we'll do this again, I guess after the mini camps or whatever, and we'll see how everything goes with that. And you keep up the good work on the Twitter account, all right?
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate you following along.
All right, Rob. Thanks for coming on.
All right, John. Thanks for having me, man. Until the next one. Thanks, everybody.
You got it.